could you tell us when you first heard about the encampment?
Oh, God, let's see. I think it was 82. I heard about women buying some land next to this Army depot. Very vague, very general. I heard about it through sisters at the Women's Information Center in Syracuse. 82, yeah. 82, right. And then we went there in 83. So you want me to keep going?
Sure.
Yeah.
What your first impressions?
Oh yeah, 83. So, I can't remember exactly the first time that we went there. I went there several times. I'm thinking the first time I went with friends, and we brought along our kids. 83, my son David would have been 5, and I think we went with Beth and her daughters. Sarah would have been David's age. They were crib mates and played together. So I don't know if I can't remember if we went for the day or camped. But I definitely remember, well, I was already used to consensus decision making and so on because of my work at the Syracuse Women's Information Center. So that wasn't new to me. It was very beautiful, though, seeing it out in a wide space with fire, earth, air, fire, and water wasn't as plentiful, but it was there somewhere. And seeing the work that women did, the carpentry work, building things to walk on through the mud and to get to the outhouses, and the outhouses themselves. Weren't they built? Was that a Porta-John company that they had? Oh, was it Porta-John company? I can't remember. Actually, that's what I asked my son, who is now 30, a couple days ago, what his memory was of the peace camp. He remembered going there, which was great, and he remembered 2 things. First, he remembered the really smelly outhouses with lots of flies, and then he remembered a woman with a kite. And he went and got to fly the kite with this woman, and he really enjoyed that. It was great. So I remember the place being kid-oriented. I can't remember. Another thing I remember, and I don't know if this was the first or second time that I went, but there were a lot of women there, and I was sitting in front of the farmhouse on the front lawn. And we were making posters. We must have been preparing for a march, probably from the encampment, the farmhouse and the encampment to like the main gate of the Seneca Army Depot. We were working on posters. We had markers and, oak tag paper. And we're sitting on the front lawn, and a car, one of those big American cars, goes by, sort of fast, stops. Some water balloons come flying out. The water balloon bounced near me. My legs got wet from the water balloon, and then the car sped away. It's like, it was like, what the fuck? What was that? And nobody got nuts about it. It was just kids, It was just so. The behavior was so ridiculous, it didn't really warrant words and dialogue, because we had really more important things to focus on, and we all kind of knew without speaking that we wouldn't let this become a distraction for what we were there for. So, that was okay, and then we went on. Oh, you know what else? Jeez. I remember also being interviewed by some kind of media, and I think it was the Rochester, D&C, Democrat and Chronicle. So the initials are kind of unfortunate for that paper, but that's what it is. Rochester D&C. Yeah. Was it the D&C?
Do you remember what the interview?
In general, what are you here for? And I remember, I like to be interviewed. I think I can speak pretty okay when I'm interviewed, either for print media or live on the air. It might have even been a TV station or a radio station. I just remember it talking and clearly stating, yeah, I mean, I was there. You know, I had my son who was 4 or 5. I wanted to have a really healthy world and a peaceful world for him to grow up in, for sure. And of course, you know, not just for my son, but for everybody's son and daughter, and every generation to come. Let's see, I hadn't yet done my Seneca. I'm a trained teacher of the Seneca Wolf Clan Teaching Lodge, but I hadn't done that yet. But still, it was just, and I probably said something about, you know, corporate control and power, and that this is just greed and profit. And I knew at that point that weapons were the largest export from our incredible culture and society. And what a shame. What a statement. What a negative statement. That's the best we can make? Of course it's not. And we can be far more creative, but it brings profit to the greedy who don't care where their products end up. It's just immediate profit. I just don't understand that kind of thinking. When you really get down to it, who can think that? Who can do that? You're sending weapons to whoever with no conscience. No conscience. It's just pretty astounding. So, but anyway, I don't know that I went into that. I mean, I said something clear and succinct at the time, and yeah, we made our posters, and I can't remember if we had the march that same day or if I stayed overnight, because my visits get kind of intermingled. You know, I can't distinguish one from the other. But there is one visit that was a couple that are very distinct. One was when I went for a huge rally. I think that there were tens of thousands of people there, or many, many, many thousands of people there. And we had an affinity group. I don't know if there were 10 of us or 12 of us. Oh, this is really cool. And we called ourselves the Rainbow Sisters. So we had and we met like once a week for weeks before that. I mean, I think it was like 8-10 weeks before the date of that action, or the date of that rally and action. So we started meeting. We met at different people's houses. That was with Karen Beadle was, you know, kind of the facilitator for our little group, and Carol Baum was in it, and oh God, I forget her name. Who used to go with Ed Kinane, and I don't know, bunch of people. 10 or 12 of us, some women that I was meeting for the first time. So we called ourselves the Rainbow Sisters. Rainbow Sisters. Oh yeah, we had a little song. Wait, how did it go? Rainbow Sister, is it Rainbow Warriors? Rainbow Warriors. Rainbow Sisters, go where you want, do what you want, because, no, I can't remember the notes. Because we are loving you. Rainbow Sisters, go where you want, do what you want, because we are loving you. Something like that. Uh-huh. And we would sing that at our little opening every time we'd get together and talk about. So then in our meetings we'd plan our action. And we all had specific jobs that we were going to do. Oh, also we wore colors of the rainbow. I was like turquoise, so I had turquoise t-shirt, turquoise jeans, and each of us were different colors, solid colors. Yeah, we really looked beautiful together. So our action was, overall, the language or goals set in a larger sense was for the Women's Peace Encampment to convert the entire Army Depot to something peaceful. You know, different business, a different industry, a different public service, So use that beautiful, incredible land to create something peaceful that would benefit humanity. So in our group, through discussion, using, of course, consensus decision making, we decided that we would convert that a part of that Army Depot to a nursery, a plant nursery. And so we decided that it would be the airstrip, and that we would convert to a plant nursery. And Karen Beadle and a couple of other people went to the Army Depot and would stake it out and drive around and had all the statistics and measurements of where what was and so on and so forth. So, and brought that information back to the group so we knew exactly what we had to do. So, okay, so we decided that we would get little planters of herbs and spider plants. So we got those. We would put soil into little paper cups. We did not use styrofoam. And that was what we would try to plant on the airstrip. Okay, so, but to get to the airstrip, we had to get over a barbed wire fence. What was they, 8 feet, 10 feet? Something like that. The cyclone fencing was at least 8 feet. It seems to me, oh, I can't do that. I'll be off the screen. It seems to me that it was like very high. Maybe it was a 10-foot fence. And then you had the barbed wire, 3 layers of barbed wire pointing out, angled out at you. So, okay, so we divided up jobs and strategies for how to get over that fence. So we knew that 3 or 4 of us would be carrying rolled up carpeting, and then we decided who was going to go over the fence and would then take the planters and put them on the airstrip. And then the fence was so high that we knew that they would need help getting over the fence. So that was my job as a former phys ed teacher and jockette, was to help. I mean, I would have been happy to go over the fence, but other people wanted to do that. So my job was to help them climb up on the fence. So people were like, so 2 of us, I think there were 3 people from the group that went over the fence, and we had 2 people for each of them, helping each of them get over the fence. So, you know, I'd get down and put 1 foot on my shoulder, 1 foot on my partner's shoulder, and then we'd stand up, and then we'd continue to support her legs and butt, pushing her up and over. And then, so the carpet people would climb the fence halfway, put the carpet over the barbed wire, and then they'd get out of the way, and then we would come with our climber and help her climb up the fence and get over. Once she got up to the carpeting, she could just like slide down the other side and jump to the ground, and then we'd flip over the planters that were kind of packed in. And but you know, it's way more intricate than that. That we did this on the day of the huge rally and march. So, and I would have planned this a little differently, because I think this was a little show-offy. We didn't really have to do it this way. But so we were all marching down whatever road that was. I think we started at Sampson, I think, and then we were marching to the main gate of the depot. So in the middle of the march, when we turned a 90-degree corner somewhere, our group just left the march in plain sight for several hundred people to see, and started running into the woods, which I never would have planned it that way strategically. So 1 million people saw us running into the woods and didn't know what we were up to, and they saw some of us carrying rolled up carpet. So we ran into the woods, but that was the woods that was closest to the fencing, which was by the airstrip. So we went into the woods, and of course some of the police saw us do that. So about 4 minutes into the woods was the New York State Police, royal blue and yellow helicopter circling over the woods and following us through the woods. So then we realized, well, they knew exactly where we were. What the hell good is this? So I yelled to everybody, look, get down and crawl under the bushes. They won't be able to see us if we're crawling under the bushes. So we're down on our bellies, crawling, like I thought it was like in Vietnam or something, you know, like we're crawling like this on our elbows. And here we are, these bright rainbow colors, like we should have had camouflage on. But, so we're down on our bellies under these bushes, hoping that the freaking helicopter wouldn't see us, because then they'd be able to tell the what do you call those people? MPs, military police, in the Army base exactly where we were. So, all right, so we're in there, climbing through the woods, and then we get through the woods, and I mean, it was quite a distance. We're crawling on our bellies quite a distance through the woods. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was like 1,000 feet, you know. It was long. So, maybe not. 2 blocks. I exaggerate. I don't know. But it was long, crawling. So we got to the edge of the woods, and of course there was a clearing between the woods and the fence. And we get there, and then we look down to our right, about 100 yards down to our right, and we see Karen Beadle and a couple other people like pretending to climb up the fence. And what they're doing is they're distracting the military police. So the military police are focusing on them, ready to grab them if they get to the top of the fence or something. So the military police are on the inside of the fence, and we're on the outside. Okay, so while they're doing that, we run out of the woods up to the cyclone fencing and barbed wire and do what we practiced, and got our women over the fence. They got the little planters of herbs and spider plants, ran to the airstrip, which was 50, 100 feet away, and sat down and put the planters on the ground. And then the folks down there yelled, "Yay!" And of course then the military police turned and saw that there were women sitting on their airstrip. So we converted the airstrip of the Seneca Army Depot into a plant nursery for those 6 minutes. And then of course immediately the military police jeep was there, handcuffing our sisters and leading them up into the jeep, and I don't know what they did with the plans. Maybe they probably took them with them. And so they got their little letter that you get. So that's one really specific, distinct memory, and it was so great to be there and see the huge crowds. People came from all over the place with great posters and signs. It was wonderful. It was a real community there. And then this was the last time that I went there. It was, I know it was the following year. It definitely wasn't the same year. I don't know if it was 84 or 85. That would have been 83. But I had decided, I had learned that many people were planning a civil disobedience action, and a lot of people were going there to get arrested, some famous names. And so I made plans for my son to stay with friends overnight for a few days if needed, because I didn't know what the procedure was when you climbed over the fence and got arrested there. So I did that. I went, a couple of friends came with me to help me climb the fence, and I did. I just climbed the fence, as were, looks like hundreds of other people, I think, on that day. It seemed like women, men, everybody. And I knew that that was the same action where Dr. Benjamin Spock, the famous pediatrician who wrote all the baby care, child care books, was also climbing the fence and getting arrested. And he was amazing. I mean, the man must have been almost 90 or something then. And he had on his 3-piece suit, his very nice overcoat, his, dress shoes for men. And, many people helped him on our side of the fence, and of course coming down, many people helped him on the other side of the fence. I think he took off his overcoat and we, passed it over the fence so he could have that, given his age and everything. And his wife also, and I forget her name, I think I have it written down somewhere. But so then, so I climbed over the fence. and got arrested, handcuffed and put on a little bus and carted off somewhere where we waited in kind of like a pen. I mean, it was just chicken wire, wouldn't have been too hard to get out of there, but and Benjamin Spock's wife was in the same pen with me, and it was great being with her and a few other women. It was an area, I don't know, about this big. Maybe there were 4 or 5 of us in that section, or 6, I don't know, I remember 7 or 8. And so then they just took us out and processed us, and we sat in an office, and I don't know, they asked us, ID, we had to show ID, and asked us what our purpose was, and then, of course, the final question is, are you planning to do this again, or if you do this again, then you will face a higher level of something, and they gave us a letter, which I think basically was a cease and desist letter. Cease doing this and desist from doing it again in the future. And so then when they had a bunch, and then we waited, some more. I mean, that whole thing probably took a day. And then when they got a bunch of us processed, then they put us on a bus, one of those little, like, school buses painted kind of a khaki brown color, and drove us to the main gate. And on the bus, and directly in back of me, sat Benjamin Spock and his wife. And Benjamin was so thirsty, he had nothing left to drink. And I had my thermos, which had organic peppermint tea in it. So I offered it to Benjamin Spock, and of course he wanted to make sure it was whatever it was. And I said, it's absolutely, I made it yesterday morning. It is, and it's not only tea, it's organic. And it might have had a little honey in it, I can't. So he drank, I told him to drink as much as he wanted to. He drank from my thermos. I still have that thermos. And then we were released at the main gate, and there were, of course, people there to drive us to where we needed to go, and I got a ride back to where my car was by the peace encampment. So that was good. Being arrested, and I don't even know if you would call that an arrest, at this situation. It was, you got a letter, you got a cease and desist. You didn't really get charged with anything, so probably formally it wasn't an arrest, but nevertheless, it was so important. It is so important for each one of us when we have this kind of opportunity to take that stand. Put your body right there. This is my stand. This is what I stand for. This is who I am. And be a number. Be another number. The same thing happened. Do I have time to talk about my arrest in Washington?
You could. We especially want to hear, things connected to Seneca, and how Seneca might have impacted other things that you did, or whether it did.
Well, yeah, Seneca was after, the anti-Vietnam War days and rallies and demonstrations and work and arrests, in my case. One arrest, but and great successful actions. So that the prior experience of the anti-war work encouraged me to participate more at Seneca.
What I would ask you, if I may, is, given your HeRSToRy history in activism with Vietnam and earlier actions, was there anything you could speak about, any difference in all-women action versus mixed versus Vietnam?
Oh, that's interesting. I have to say that honestly, some little differeces here and there, but not in organizing, because for the anti-Vietnam War work, sure, there were many more men in charge and in leadership positions, but they used the consensus decision-making process, especially in the, was it 71? I think that might have been the last year of huge rallies where the theme was to shut down the Pentagon, stop the war by stopping the Pentagon, and we were going to block all the roads that led to and from the Pentagon. So it was that year we made decisions we had town meetings, like all the church basements were made available. Hundreds of church basements housed people, and we were by region. So at that time I was from Syracuse, so all kind of upstate regions were in this church basement. There were hundreds of us. It was determined by region. So in our church basement, we were all from like upstate New York, Syracuse, Rochester, the North Country, and all of that. I don't know where else. Hundreds of us. So we made decisions by having town meetings. And my friend David Morgan was was the facilitator there. That's one of the Davids that my son David is named for. And so yeah, it was consensus decision making. And you know, well into a town meeting where everyone could speak and help to plan. You know, after a little while, it became obvious who the government plants were. Government, of course, would take CIA or FBI agents and put them in each place, and they would dress supposedly like demonstrators, although they always seem to have a little cleaner haircut or something. I don't know, their clothes are a little cleaner. But anyway, but they were like really fucking up the meeting process, and you could never get anything going. So eventually the rest of us just say, look, you just hold it, you know, you just hold it, and look, don't call on this person anymore because he's just screwing it all up. You know, so anyway, but the process was very similar to Seneca. It was very respectful, but yeah, there were more men. So at Seneca, there were more women, and there was certainly in the ways that we communicated, there was just more subtle, and perhaps to some not so subtle, ways of nurturance, the things that women do. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Yeah, I think, what else in Seneca? Oh, geez. Yeah, just the immediate things, like the town meetings, the immediate things that happen at Seneca. Circle around the fire in 5 minutes, you know, and then everybody who was there at the time would come and circle around the fire, and we would have a meeting about whatever decision needed to be made. It could have been huge. It could have been, should we have an action 2 weeks from today? A march on the front gate, you know, should they be arrested, blah, 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 blah. Or, you know, just we need help in making posters. We need help in the office with filing or cleaning or something. Painting on the sides of buildings, mowing, or I don't even know if we mowed, or whatever needed to be done. Food, cleanup. Latrines, everything, just taking care of things, taking care of business. And it got done. Just like that, it got done. Women working together. I guess I remember a real diversity of women there. You know, racially diverse women. There were women of color, and among women of color, there were some who were artistic, making beautiful things, painting. There were some women who were very radical. And there were some women who, you know, it looked like they came with their church group. They weren't radical. They were very, you know, wanting to be kind of proper and do the right thing. And there were women, white women, Caucasian women, in the same various places of life. Same various lifestyles. There were lesbians, beautiful lesbians, and there were straight women, and there were naked women, and women who were just topless, and women who weren't, who had many layers of clothing on, and just everybody came together. Everyone came together because we wanted this thing to be stopped and done and ended.
Do you have any apprehension about bringing your 6-year-old son to such a thing?
Oh, God, no. No, look, when he went, he found the kite lady. And he loved, you know, we flew kites quite a bit. So that was something that he really loved and appreciated. He had a real connection with kite flying. And wasn't there a childcare there, a play center, as I remember? And he enjoyed playing, and especially when he went with his friend Sarah and her little sister Amanda, and they went over there and played. And women would take turns at the child care center with the toys and things and just outside. They loved being outside. games. It was great.
You mentioned that you camped there.
Yeah, I mean, I camped there. We brought tents. I think that was the first time that we went. We had the kids, so the two of us and the three kids. Yeah, my friend Beth, and it was great. You know, the land was perfect. Everything was there that we needed. There was food. I know that we brought food to contribute. I can't remember what we brought. We might have just brought, you know, uncooked rice, and cooked rice probably, and just, you know, food for us and to share. I think that was the message that went out, that there was a cooperative kitchen, bring food to share and bring what you need for yourself. So we did that.
And after those first couple of years, did you hear about the encampment, like into the later 80s or 90s, or know what was going on?
You know, I remember, actually, that wasn't true what I said about that being my last time when I got my cease and desist letter. Because I remember going back there, and there was just a small group of women there. There was some woman who came from outside of Ithaca, you know, who clearly was well-intentioned and knew what the place was about, but she would kind of, you know, drift a little in her exuberance. You know, it was a little too drifting for me, but that's okay. But it was reassuring to know that there were still people there, and women living there and staying there, and I felt gratitude. I felt incredible gratitude for those women who were still there, who were keeping the flame alive. It's great. It was just wonderful. Fabulous. Good work, you guys. It's critical, because there's nothing there at the farmhouse that says that we were there or what happened there. And of course, in 2000, the Seneca Army Depot closed, thank God. Of course, one wonders where they are storing all those nuclear weapons now. We should find that out and do it again, and again, and again, and again, as long as it takes, and as often as it takes. So the thing is closed, and that's great. And wouldn't it be nice to believe that we had something to do with it closing? And probably did once we outed it as much as we did. And let's keep outing everything like that. And for those viewers who might not understand what outing means, it came out of the gay movement, where if somebody is gay or lesbian and they wanted to keep it personal or private at this point in their lives, that's their right, and that's their right. They should be able to do that so they're not jeopardized at their job or anywhere else. And other people come along and out them and start saying, well, they're gay, everybody knows that. Well, they didn't want that to be known. So, but you see, in the case of nuclear weapons, we don't have to get the federal government's permission to out the location of nuclear weapons being stored. We all need to do that. It's our duty and obligation to the planet, to maintaining a healthy planet, and to the future generations to come. As a retired guidance counselor, special ed teacher, and phys ed teacher and coach, you know, we really need to educate the young generation coming up. They don't understand what there is at their fingertips to do. They feel frustrated. They are just flabbergasted about George Bush being able to carry on and continue, and that he's still in office and doing all these criminal activities that he's doing. They all get it about, 99 out of 100 kids in high school today and middle school get it about Iraq, that there's no war. It's a freaking invasion. We're destroying the country so we can get their oil. They get it. And shouldn't we be giving them tools? 1 minute. So we need to give them tools. And that's what this project is all about. We need to make this accessible to our youth so they can have hope and know how to direct their energies to promote and sustain world peace.